Thank you all for joining us today. Buenas tardes, good afternoon, and welcome to our holiday financial security charla sponsored by AARP. This charla is the third and final charla of the series of the HHS year-long partnership with AARP to impact our community by discussing and highlighting topics critical to the Latina community, such as health and wellness and finances. Besides the wealth of information, we also ensure that we serve as a platform for accessible resources that we can utilize in all aspects of our lives. To see other charlas that HHF has done with ARP, such as our Health and Happiness charla we hosted in August and their Navigating Benefits for Health and Wealth from October, please check out HHF's YouTube. There you will find an entire repository of HHF charlas that we have hosted throughout the years on various topics that are important to our comunidad. And also, I would like to invite you to tune in to our Fritanga podcast, which is an avenue of cultural convenings to find comfort, connection, information, identity, and inspiration. So make sure you sign up and listen to us on whatever podcast streaming your platform you're more comfortable with. And you can find the Fritanga, like I mentioned, on all streaming platforms. And you can also listen to our caregiving episode with ARP. So for today's holidays financial security charla, we know that we are quickly approaching the holiday season, and it's easy to feel pressure to overspend on gifts, gatherings, celebrations. And so we just want to make sure you are prepared. And so while this is the time of the year that brings joy and togetherness, it can also put a strain on finances and create opportunities for scams. So during this virtual charla session, we will discuss how to celebrate thoughtfully and avoid the burden of holiday debt. We'll also share tips to help you recognize and protect yourself and your loved ones from potential fraud, so you can enjoy the season with a peace of mind. So just stay tuned and learn more on the financial securities on budgeting during the holiday season while protecting mental health and learning from other helpful resources. So just quickly before we get started, I just want to make sure I go over a couple reminders. Please make sure you use the chat box at the bottom to ask questions, raise concern, or give us energy. Just ensure it is set to all audience and not to the default of the panelists, because we want to make sure everyone sees your comment and question. So just please double check. And we will make sure to answer your questions throughout the charla in the chat or the Q&A window. We will follow up via email to include all the resources that we have shared that our wonderful speakers are sharing today, and answer any questions that are not addressed. And lastly, this is not an ARP hosted event. However, as an event sponsor, ARP always recommends that you consult your financial and tax advisor or lawyer for advice regarding your personal situation. So now we're getting to the excited part. I would like to welcome and extend a warm welcome to our first speaker, Paloma Ferreira Gomez, who is the Audience Strategy Manager, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at ARP. Take it away, Paloma.
Thank you so much, Jess. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paloma Ferreira Gomez, the Audience Strategy Manager for the Hispanic and Latino audience at AARP. It's a true honor to welcome you to today's holiday financial charla. As we approach the holidays, it's the perfect time to discuss how we can keep ourselves and our families safe, especially when it comes to our financial security. I was born in South America, and I moved to the United States when I was 6. While I grew up here, I've always stayed connected to my Paraguayan roots. I understand the excitement of the holidays, the big traditional meals, the family time, and of course, the rush that can come from spending for loved ones. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Tony Tijerino and the wonderful team at the Hispanic Heritage Foundation for the invaluable collaboration with AARP on this charla, because together, or juntos, we can ensure that these critical resources reach the communities that need them the most. At AARP, our mission is simple: to empower people to live their best lives. We focus on providing you with information and tools to take care of your health, wealth, and self, or as we say it in Spanish, tu salud, dinero y amor. We're here to make how you age easier, but we also want to remind you that taking action to protect your well-being is essential. The holidays are a time where scams and fraud tend to spike, especially for those in the 50+ community. That is why at AARP, we've created a hub of resources designed to help you protect you and your loved ones from the scams. Today, you'll hear from my colleague, Karina Hertz, Vice President of Communications, ICM Strategic Communications, and Ops, who will talk about the biggest problems we're seeing with scammers, how you and your loved one can get informed about reducing your risk for fraud, and where to obtain these resources for prevention. Visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork for more. I hope today's Charla empowers you to navigate the holidays with confidence, knowing that your financial security is protected. Thank you again for tuning in today. I'm excited for the conversation ahead and look forward to working together to keep our families safe this season. Mil gracias.
Thank you so much, Paloma, for joining us today and for sharing that invaluable resource. We'll make sure to share the link to everyone who has joined us today or even RSVP to make sure that they're receiving this because it's very crucial during these times. So thank you so much for being part of today's charla. And up
Absolutely.
next, thank you. And up next, we have Kimberly Hamilton, who is originally from New York, but resides in Bethesda and is the founder of Be Worth Finance and author of Building Wealth on a Dime, Finding Your Financial Freedom. Let's hear it from Kimberly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Paloma, for sharing that information. I already saw someone in the chat mention that not just the information you'll be sharing, but all the panelists today, I'm sure will have valuable information that I encourage everyone attending to share with your families as well. My book, Building Wealth on a Dime, I talk about how finances is a taboo topic often, and so hoping that this information is valuable for many of you. I have some slides that I think I'm gonna pull up here. That way I have them on my screen too. Okay, great. So the first slide here should be some things that you can do to really get ready for the holidays before they happen. Correct me if I'm not on the right slide. I think when I was first informed about the Charla, my immediate reaction was often when we talk about gearing up for the holidays from a financial perspective, we're talking about savings. And at this point, I think it might be maybe a little late in the game to talk about savings, but there are so many other things that you can do to make the holidays less stressful from a financial perspective and hopefully more enjoyable overall. So just a few tips here of what you can still do as we're leading up to the holidays, which I can't believe Thanksgiving is here already next week. And one other thing I want to touch on before we get into these tips is that the holidays, just like many other times, can be really emotional, both exciting, but also stressful. So if you feel yourself sort of bouncing between those emotions, that's totally normal. And hopefully some of these tips and what other presenters have to say at the Charla here will help. So the first thing I have is setting a budget. And this is something you've probably heard year round, but it really becomes crucial during the holiday time. I know for myself, it's very easy to go to a store and think you're getting one or two things and you walk out with, 50 things. A grocery store, Target's always like an example that's referenced, right? This is especially true during the holidays. So setting expectations for yourself, a budget when it comes to gift giving, when it comes to planning, food shopping, if you're hosting, all of those things, but maybe potentially also setting a gift limit for your family, for your guests. If you're hosting, a holiday party and you expect a gift exchange, maybe setting a budget for that to try to make it easier, not just for you, but for everyone else as well. I think sometimes when people think about using tactics like that, they maybe become fearful that they're like dampening the holiday energy, when the reality is a lot of people would probably be appreciative of that expectation as well. So it sort of levels the playing field. When it comes to gift giving, maybe something you might consider on the second point here in the slide is something like a Secret Santa or a game called White Elephant. Both of those involve one person getting only one gift as opposed to a bunch of gifts. So that's an easy way to save. And if you're not familiar with White Santa, I encourage you to look it up. It's a really sort of fun, I think, kind of cheeky way to engage in the gift giving experience with family or friends. Hosting a potluck is the third one I have here. I think especially, in the Latina community, we're really big on our community, our loved ones, our friends. So why not bring them in on that experience and turn it into a celebration where everyone can contribute, a meal, a side dish, something to literally bring to the table that you'll all be enjoying together. And related to that, when it comes to hosting and thinking about decorations, I think that's another area where social media has really, at least for me, is sort of expanded my brain and these possibilities. You see these insanely decorated, rooms and things like that. So this is just a reminder to tell you that simple decorations, DIY decorations can be just as great. And you could even actually turn that into a holiday celebration, a holiday tradition yourself. You don't have to create these decorations together. Similarly, along the lines of like, giving experiences, right? One of the best ideas I think I heard all year, it was actually in regards to a birthday, but I think someone was celebrating their 50th birthday, and instead of asking for gifts, they said that they just wanted instead of gifts, give me an experience to do something with you. So in other words, everyone would suggest a walk in the park, a movie night, seeing a show, whatever it is. But one benefit there, not only do you get some extra time with that loved one, with a friend or family member, that I think most of us would really appreciate more than some gifts, depending. I think the other thing is it buys you some time, right? If you say, hey, instead of this gift, if you're stretched for cash, and instead of a gift, you want to give that experience, you have the ability to schedule that out. And so you don't need to shell out the cash for whatever that experience is, if it does cost money, or it could even be a free experience. I think a lot of us just enjoyed time, and I see in the chat creating memories. Exactly. So consider that as well. And then the last thing I want to mention here, I wouldn't say it's my top recommendation, but as a last resort, if you're paycheck to paycheck and giving gifts is a must for you, and you think you're eager to reach for the credit card to do that, I suggest applying for a 0% APR card, 0% interest card. And what that does is, if you're approved, it'll give you a certain period of time where you can use that credit card at 0% interest. And usually that period of time is anywhere from 16 to 21 months. So it gives you a pretty decent period to pay that off instead of adding interest payments to debt you may already have. So again, that's more like a last resort, but if you are going to spend the money, or if you are going to reach for a credit card anyway, and you don't think you'll be able to pay that credit card off in full right away, that's at least a financial tool that you can use to give yourself some time. If we could move to the next slide and just let me know when we're on that, we'll talk about some things you might do after the holidays. So the first one is making a debt plan. Really, this might be something you should ideally do in the before stage after, but if you are accumulating debt during the holidays, make sure you have a solid plan to pay that off. I suggest the avalanche method, which is starting with the highest interest debt. So you're making all your minimum payments across your debt, but any extra dollar you have, every dollar counts, putting it towards that highest interest debt first to pay it off sooner. So just again, making a plan so you have some expectations for yourself and don't end up in a debt spiral there. Using auto pay, this sort of obviously relates to paying down any bills, but that's also important from the standpoint of your credit. So setting any credit cards to auto pay from a checking account, if you're worried about potentially overdrafting a checking account, you might give yourself a little buffer there, or set up a balance alert if your bank or institution allows you to do that. And so what that does is you don't have to necessarily worry about manually paying, or at least set it to the minimum payment so you don't have any late payments on your credit history. In terms of reeling in the spending, some ways to do that: try a no spend day. I've seen some people try to do this for a whole week, which can be really difficult with a family. Something I want to caveat here is we're not talking about, obviously spend on the necessities, right? Your health, food, bills, things like that. But we're talking about discretionary spending. If you can commit to cutting that in for a day, a few days a week, or even a few days in a month, that can make a big impact. Low cost fund speaks to what we were sort of mentioning earlier, that there can be experiences out there, especially during the winter. I know not everyone here lives in a place where it's necessarily going to get cold, but if you do, in my mind, there's way less, it's way easier to go outside and spend all this money when it's summer and the sun is shining. Take this time to, you know, stay cozy, stay indoors, have a indoor at-home movie night. You know, think of what are some of those things you can do to still have a good time, to still create memories, but maybe cut back on the spending a little bit. The 0% APR transfer, that's a little bit different from the APR card. The application would be the same, but what that allows you to do is if you are approved and you do have debt for a fee, that fee is usually around 3% or so, you can transfer over debt up to whatever limit you're approved for from an existing maybe high interest credit card to that 0% APR card. So again, giving yourself the promotional period is usually between 16, 21 months at a 0% interest rate to pay that off. One thing I didn't mention earlier that's really important is after that promotional period, the interest rate will go up. So if you haven't paid off that car completely by then, keep in mind that that interest rate could skyrocket back to, you know, very high interest rate, 22%, let's say. And then the last one is sinking funds. What a sinking fund is essentially creating a fund for a specific thing that you're going to transfer savings to every month, and then pay yourself back for whatever that expense is. You use these for recurring but non-monthly expenses. And so holiday gifts is a fantastic example of this, that you decide how much you want to devote towards holiday gifts or gifts throughout the year. You divide that number by 12, and then you make that part of your budget. So you're contributing to that specific savings account, ideally a high yield savings account, every month. And then by the time the holidays roll around, you can pay yourself back from that account, and you do that on a continual basis. So hopefully that's good for next year, that last point. But hopefully all of these tips are helpful as you dive into the holidays. I know it's one of the most special times of year, but again, it could also be really financially stressful, and hope some of these tips help you out as we head into them next week. I can't believe it's Thanksgiving already. So thank you to everyone at the Hispanic Heritage Foundation for having me, and hope these are helpful.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kimberly, and for the abundance of tips that you shared us. I especially love the reference you made that we do sometimes some of us on the line have fallen into the narrative that Target tells us what to get, but going into the plan and budget will help, especially the creative plans you shared about saving money leading up to the holidays, but also planning after the holidays, which is just as crucial. So thank you so much. And now I would like to welcome Adriana Alejandre from Burbank, California, who founded her own bilingual group practice, EMDR and trauma therapy, focusing on wellness for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. Founder of internationally recognized Latinx therapy, as well as the founder of a community nonprofit with a program called Therapy Dinero to create access to therapy services. Thank you for joining us, Adriana. Take it away.
Hola, muchas gracias. Thank you, everybody. So, and those were great tips. I was definitely taking notes here. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all a little bit more about emotions as it relates to the holidays, finances, and our overall wellness. So, you know, as I think all know, the holidays can bring up a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, potentially activates our depression, or even can resurface some trauma memories, grief. There's so much that can come with the holidays, and that could be in preparation or even like the events when we are with family or friends. As a therapist, I hear about a lot of people feeling left out of situations. I hear about family drama as well that can happen, and so that can activate a lot. And then we build up other emotions as it's all connected to money. So I want to talk about first the emotion of anger, because anger is an emotion that is not typically accepted in our community, in our upbringing. Anger is usually seen as an unacceptable emotion since childhood, that we are you know, not good enough children, or we're talking back, or, you know, it just, we're kind of being conditioned since childhood that anger is not okay. So a lot of times people end up developing anger as an emotion that they reject because society ends up rejecting it. We may also experience anger connected to finances when we go over our budget, when we notice that maybe a loved one spent more on someone else. This is often seen in families with half siblings, blended families, or honestly, even, well, there's a big joke, but it's very deep rooted about los terrenos, right? When something is gifted to someone else and you feel left out, anger can spark. And it can even come up when you don't have enough money, especially during the holidays or important events for you. And I want you to know that these are all valid scenarios and emotions. The way that you respond within your anger to your emotions is going to make a difference to your overall wellness and the way the interactions are going to go. I think you all likely know that, right? But it's very difficult. It's easier said than done. It takes a lot of practice. We are typically taught in our homes to react to within our emotions, that there's just a dysfunctional response, right? Or reaction rather. So I want to share some tips connected to anger when it may show up during the holidays, whether it's connected to finances or other things. These tips can go pretty general. So for those that are new to accepting anger, so if you haven't really done healing work connected to anger directly, I want you to notice where your anger shows up in your body. Does it show up in your hands? Does it flare up in your heart, your chest area, in the throat? Do you experience hot tears? You're not sad, you're angry, but you have those tears that are flowing down. Like, what is showing up in your body? And I want you to just make note, kind of make a log of the somatic responses you have connected to anger. I want you to journal, reflect on why that area is affected, and ask, what are the needs that my body needs in this moment as it's experiencing anger? Am I angry about my situation? Am I angry that I didn't get the promotion, that I didn't speak up for it, or the raise, right? That my coupon wasn't honored at the counter, even though it's valid. Again, you want to kind of rationalize and talk yourself through what the needs are. I want you to notice somatically if that area also, is it hot? Because if it is, then I want you to focus on cooling the temperature. Is there a lot of energy pent up in that area, right? There's typically adrenaline that can be connected to anger. Give yourself an opportunity to release it. Work with yourself, because again, oftentimes we're not taught the skills. In our households, we're just functioning like from angry individual to another angry individual, right? And we're functioning out of a fight or freeze or flight response. And so I want you to pay more attention to some of those stress responses that get circulated and activated during the holidays and finances, because your anger is likely intergenerational. It is likely a learned behavior from someone else from a different generation, and theirs is learned from someone else from a prior generation as well. And so you'll be able to think more rationally, or more so from a balanced perspective, both emotionally and rationally, as it comes to making decisions about your finances when you experience anger. Now, anxiety is what I want to talk about briefly next. So situations that may cause anxiety during the holidays could be, needing to work extra for more hours because maybe it impacts your normal routine. You don't want to do it, you have to do it, and it's just an overall anxiety provoking. A lot of folks experience this when they work at retail and they're introverts. And, they just have to work because they have to, but they're exposed to so many people and it sparks anxiety within them. And again, that's valid. Anxiety can come up when you are pressured to spend more money on gifts, on food, on hosting overall, as Kimberly mentioned. Especially, I noticed I saw someone in the comments that said that their partner thinks that they're being codos, that they're being stingy, right? For creating a budget, but you're being financially strategic in doing so. And in the long run, you're actually preventing anxiety from spiking because you're creating a plan. It's a good thing. So, you know, another scenario could be not knowing how to say no to additional spending. I work with a lot of people that don't know how to set boundaries. During the holidays, we need a lot of boundaries. When it comes to finances, we need a lot of boundaries, and we need to be secure in our voice to set those boundaries. So how to recognize that anxiety is showing up in your body. You could be experiencing more headaches than normal, a change in your sleep and eating routine, rapid heart palpitations. And a lot of people tend to go to urgent care or the ER thinking that it's a heart attack, but it's actually an anxiety attack, because it can mirror some of those symptoms. Grinding your teeth, whether it's during the day, you know, you might be clenching, or you're grinding them at night. Clenching your jaw or your fists. There could be some changes in terms of scent, the way your body smells or you smell it to yourself. And that's normal when it comes to anxiety. Excessive worry and ruminating on what ifs. What if this person says this about me? What if this person doesn't like the gift? You know, those are all signs and symptoms of anxiety. And lastly, another big one is irritation of the tummy. So your tummy can feel upset when you have anxiety, and we likely notice this in children. The mental health symptoms that you are going to experience if you have little ones, they will likely mirror them or see them. The way that you cope through your financial and holiday stress is also going to be mirrored to the younger generations around you. So I want to lastly end with teaching you a technique that can be helpful for you. You can modify it as you need. This one is called VU breathing. V like vacation, O, okay? VU breathing, and it helps us to get connected to our nervous system. I chose this one because, again, many of us are taught in childhood to stay silent, to not use our voice. And this one requires us to hear the sound of our voice, to regulate us. And, you know, I think that can be the start of a relationship within yourself and hearing yourself. And so a lot of people aren't comfortable expressing their emotions because they've been taught to, you know, calladita te ves más bonita, right? And so learning to help ourselves feel safe needs to come first. So you need to learn how to cope with your body and your emotions. And once you are regulated, you'll be able to make some of those more balanced decisions. So with this technique, what you're going to do is literally, we're just going to say the word VU as you are exhaling. So you're going to do, I'm going to say the instructions, then we'll try it and I'll conclude there. So you're going to inhale so slowly, gently through your nose, making sure your belly is expanding as you're inhaling. Then you'll hold that breath for like 3 seconds. And then you're going to exhale. When you exhale, you say out loud, VU, until the breath runs out. Awkward, maybe, just uncomfortable, but I want you to befriend the discomfort, okay? So we'll give this a try. Get yourself in a position where you're comfortable, lower your eye gaze, and get ready to inhale. Breathe in through the nose. Hold. Exhale, sing. Ooh. Very good. One last time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Ooh. Did you notice the vibrations around your lips, around the throat area? It might be uncomfortable hearing yourself, but again, I recommend that you befriend that beautiful voice of yours and you start practicing, even in front of the mirror, some of those boundaries that you need during the holidays. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, Adriana, and for validating all the different feelings we may experience during what is supposed to be a joyous times, right? And taking a step back to focus on what we can control and empowering us to prioritize our needs. And now there's something, a breathing exercise that we can definitely take with us. So thank you so much. I would like to now welcome Grisel Monteverde from and is the Marketing and Outreach Specialist at Mary Center. Take it away, Grisel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jessica, for the introductions, and thank you for including Mary Center. And now I would like to talk more about our organization. And next slide, please. Okay. Mary Center is a community health center founded in 1988 by Nurse Maria Gomez. And we started in a basement in Adams Morgan with only 10 employees, serving 200 participants a year. And now we have grown. Today we have 7 locations, 5 in DC and 2 in Maryland, with over 750 employees, serving over 65,000 participants, including children, adults, and seniors from around 50 countries. Next slide, please. Our mission. Mary Center embraces all communities and provides high-quality healthcare, education, and social services to build better futures. Next slide, please. This is our social change model. Mary Center provides a model of care called social change model. This social change model, which integrates healthcare, education, and social services to help each participant. And I want to give an example here why we have this social change model. For example, if you are immigrant and you don't speak English and you cannot find a job, that means you will be in stress, right? And then you need to go to the doctor. So Maria Gomez have this vision to include these 3 channel services to take care the health. So if you can speak English and you can find a job, then you can feel better and that means you don't be sick, but you can feel better and not feel stressed and your health will be better. So I will talk more about these 3 channels in the next, not yet. So I want to explain better about our healthcare, what kind of services we offer there. We have, for example, behavioral health. We offer primary health care, dental services, chronic disease management, LGBTQ plus health, telemedicine, and geriatric care, among others. And for example, for social services, we offer family support program, domestic violence support, our teen programs that we help our teenagers to apply to the university, help how they can apply for job. And we have also senior wellness centers and many other programs in our social services channel. And then we have education. And we have partnership with Brilla Charter School that we offer free English classes. And we have these 2-generation education programs. That means a teacher can take care your baby in one classroom while the parents, immigrant parents, can study English at the same time. So you don't need to worry about who can take care of your children. Also, we offer a medical assistant program and child development associate programs. And this is our social change model that Mary Center offers, that we have these services, healthcare, social services, and education. Next slide, please. Okay, so that was a little bit about our history and what we do. And now I would like to talk about our annual Thanksgiving food drive. This is a good opportunity to help. And as you can see here, every year Mary Center runs a Thanksgiving food drive, collecting and distributing over 650 turkeys and 600 meal kits to families in need. And last year I participated in the annual Thanksgiving food drive. It was amazing. You can see how the families they feel so happy and released to receive these meal kits, and see the happiness of them. So if you can help us, will be amazing. You can contact our Senior Manager Community Engagement, Lauren Shuttler, at 202-527-0943, or send an email to lshuttler@marycenter.org. Next slide, please. So here is our table. If you want to volunteer as well, you can help us. Now we are full on Monday, but if you have time, then on Tuesday, please welcome. And I don't know if we can share on the chat the link for sign up. So it will be amazing if you can join. We are in Washington, D.C., Silver Spring, 344 University Boulevard, Silver Spring, Maryland, 291. Thank you, Teresa. And lastly, please, the next slide. Yeah, we have our holiday toy drive. Again, I participate, I volunteer to in the distribution of these kits and toys. And you can see how our children, they are so happy to receive this. So if you can help us, invite all of you to help to our community and share with them these things. And thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Grisel. There are many ways you can give during this holiday break or this holiday season, so such as your time, your valuable time. So if volunteering something that you're interested in, we welcome you to volunteer at Mary Center. I know Teresa shared the links in the chat, but we're happy to share them over email after today's chat as well.
Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Vincent Renner to join us. He is the Director of Strategy and Planning at Latino Economic Development Center. Thank you so much for joining us, Vincent. Please take it away.
Hello, hello. Well, first of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And I am still very relaxed from Adriana's exercise. The woo still, it's really great. So I'm very thankful for that. I needed that today. I want to give you a brief overview of who LEDC is. LEDC is the Latino Economic Development Center. We're a certified development financial institution, CDFI, in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Puerto Rico. And I myself am based in Washington, D.C. We were founded in '91, and basically we serve small businesses, and we serve small businesses through direct for free services through one-on-one coaching, workshops and training in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. We help people develop their business plans. We incorporate how to incorporate, get licenses, but more importantly also how to do accounting, financial management, marketing, and all sorts of skills that you need to really build your business or grow your business successfully. And very importantly, we provide one-on-one coaching. I said that before, but that really helps you. It works very well. No, it's for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Just call the number above or go to our website and you can register there, and somebody will reach out to you to start setting an appointment. And we also have programs focused specifically on women entrepreneurs called through the Empowered Women International program, which is really a great program for all women and specifically focused on immigrants, refugees, and low-income and at-risk women in the DMV area. So this really works very well. In addition to that, we also help small businesses through small business lending. And we provide small business loans anywhere from $2,500 through $250,000. And we also provide small credit builder loans to enhance and build your credit back up if you should be in need of that, of about $2,500 or less. Then we have another area which focuses on first-time home buyers called housing counseling. And there we help people to get the process to buy their first home in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and also existing homeowners to help with anything from foreclosure prevention to working on other types of services that make life easier. And then we have a tenant services area, and that one helps tenants to basically help them with any sorts of issues that they might run into with their landlords or in their buildings. And we have financial empowerment, which is financial education for consumers. So that's basically what we do at LEDC. But I'm here today to speak about practical strategies for service-based businesses to navigate the unique challenges of the holiday season. And As we approach the holidays, as we know, service businesses face unique challenges. And today I want to briefly talk about what these challenges might be and maybe a couple of concrete strategies to help us stay financially secure as a small service business owner. Small businesses are businesses such as construction and trade, cleaning services, health and wellness, etc., and other services like that, repair and maintenance, handyman services, etc. The idea here is, give me 1 second, I just lost my internal presentation here. The challenges that service businesses may run into is sort of a year-end lull in demand. The holiday season for service businesses, different from product businesses, may often mean that you have less demand for services and people are spending their time and money on holiday shopping, on traveling and family gatherings, and you may experience fewer bookings for your services in December. Or if you're a cleaning company, for example, you may find that regular customers pause their services to save money for gifts. You may experience cash flow strains because as demand slows, your cash flow may become tight. Your service business may have bills to pay still, like rent or equipment leases or staff if you have any, and then that income dips, you need to have a plan, and because it may leave you financially vulnerable. Then you may have missed marketing opportunities because often service-based businesses don't think of the holidays as a time to market themselves. And this may be a missed opportunity because with the right approach, one can position oneself for the holiday or for the period afterwards. And the fourth challenge we come across with our small business clients is that they may not take the opportunity to plan for Q1, in this case of 2025, of putting a plan together of how to plan out the next year, take that time to develop clear goals and strategies, so and thereby losing valuable momentum. So therefore, what can we do to address some of these challenges? One thing is that you may want to diversify your revenue streams, like think creatively about how your services can meet holiday-specific needs. We've seen this, but also always good to think about this for your own business, is you could offer gift certificates for sessions or create a New Year, New You holiday package if you are in that type of service. Cleaning companies could market pre-holiday deep cleaning services or post-party cleanups that might be essential if you work with clients that have holiday parties. A hairdresser might promote holiday styling services for parties or offer discounts for clients that prepay for January appointments. So the idea is not only to generate income, but also to keep your business top of mind for customers as they come out of the holidays. Another key thing is to partner up, leverage partnerships, like collaborate with complementary businesses to your own to create a bundled service offering. A cleaning business and a party planner could team up so that you have one package for a holiday party, which includes the party planning and the after party cleanup. Or a hairstylist and a makeup artist could team up together to offer discounted packages for holiday events. So these partnerships can create your reach and create value for customers. And as well, later on, they may result in partnerships that last for a long time thereafter. Maybe third thing would be to be smart about your budgeting and your cash flow management. If you do have a financial software, look at your QuickBooks or look at your bookkeeping, look at your bank account and see which expenses could you reduce or put on hold, or maybe even negotiate for them to just kick back in February, for example. The other thing would be effective marketing during the holidays, right? Like you may tap into certain emotional things. Beforehand, we talked about negative emotions, but also you can maybe tap into positive emotions, right? That people are very open to at that time, right? For example, staying healthy during the holidays. And you offer tips like that if you are a nutritionist, for example, or your personal trainer, or you have anything to do with that. And you can also market those very well on social media. You may show before and after photos of a party, before and after, or during a party, or things like that from last year to incentivize people to then think about getting your service. Or get more testimonials and email those out, provide those on social media, provide any type of social media that your clients really mostly interact with. And then the last thing, which we take very seriously here at LEDC, is to help people prepare for Q1 right now, meaning for starting January, starting the new year, not only starting this in January or February, but actually using this time now in December to really start thinking about this. Because now you have time, map out your marketing calendar, look back at the past year, see which service offerings worked well, and what can be services that you then aggressively start marketing into the next year. Now, to conclude this is, and bring it all back to LEDC, is that we're here to help you to navigate these challenges and build strategies for success. So not just during the holidays, but year round. Remember, we offer free technical assistance, workshops and coachings, and also often tailored to service-based businesses. So I would encourage you all to reach out and get in contact with us. We'd love to help you. We'd love to advise you. We'd love to provide you with our services. And the final encouragement might be that the holiday season can feel overwhelming, but it's also a time for opportunity. And don't just think about surviving, but thriving. And I wish you all a happy holiday season.
Thank you so much for joining us, Vincent, and sharing all the wonderful advice that you have provided to our listeners today. Definitely appreciate you guiding your tips more to our business owners that may be on the line, leveraging the holiday season, collaborating with other businesses that complement the services that each provide, and already start thinking about 2025 because it's never too late to start planning for the future. So thank you so much for joining us, Vincent. We are about to head into our last speaker, but before we do, as a reminder, the recording of today's Holiday Financial Security Charla will go on HHF's YouTube page, as well as shared over email, along with the resources that all of our wonderful speakers have shared with you all today. For our last speaker, let's give a warm welcome to Karina Hertz, Vice President of Communications at AARP. Welcome, Karina. Take it away.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you to Teresa and for the invitation, and Paloma for the earlier introduction. I am so excited to be here talking to you about this important topic, which is about fraud prevention. And we know that the holiday season is primed for scammers, unfortunately, to be targeting ourselves and also our loved ones. So we want to make sure that you have the latest and greatest in terms of the data, some of the strategies that AARP is employing to help fight back against scam and fraud, and some of the resources that we have available in both English and Spanish, including specific resources for the Latino community. Next slide, please. So let's start with just some fresh out of the oven data. This is from a survey that was released yesterday by AARP. So you may see us popping up here and there in the media, both in English and Spanish. We had a very extensive and successful satellite media tour yesterday talking about this issue, because 82% of US consumers have experienced fraud this year alone. And so that includes all types of scams, including gift card scams, which are so pervasive and popular this time of the year. And when we talk about gift card scams, I just want to emphasize that scammers love this type of scam because gift cards are pretty much untraceable. So unlike bank transactions and everything that leaves an electronic paper trail or an actual paper trail, gift cards are pretty much untraceable. So of course the scammers love them. And this is something that is specifically relevant to the Latino community as the holiday season approaches. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Falsified products. Everybody's ordering gifts for the family. This is a big issue, even for big brands like Amazon. And phishing attempts, whether it's via text, via video, or just via your computer, email, you name it, it's out there. If you want to see a little bit more in depth about the findings of the holiday scams report, this is the link that I want to share with you, which is aarp.org/holiday scams 2024. And it outlines all the different findings by type of scam that we're seeing. Next slide. So when we talk about the problem and the solution, just at a higher level, when we talk about fraud prevention, it's really, the problem is comprised by this kind of 5 main components. One of them is, of course, the impact on finance, the sole reach that one scam can have, or one scammer can have impact on different communities, different populations, but also the rise of scams. With generative AI, we're seeing that they're not only on the rise, but they're becoming more sophisticated, not only in the type of scam and the ability to portray like fake voices, for instance. When we talk about grandparent scams, grandparents getting a call from what appears to be their grandchildren. And it's really a generative AI extracted from social media that pretend it's impersonating their grandchildren. So this is only going to become more and more sophisticated and harder to detect. And that's when education and access to resources to help identify this type of scams is important. Underreporting, when we talk about the problem, and we're going to see some of the government data around this, it's a huge issue. And underreporting is strictly and directly related to stereotyping and stigma. What do we mean by that? Stereotyping. Oh, that happens to older people alone. Oh, that happens to people who are very naive, or that won't ever happen to me because X, Y, and Z. And the stigma that's attached to it is precisely that. Is around, well, you fell for it, so, it's kind of your fault. And unlike any other type of crime, we tend as a society to blame the victim as opposed to the criminal, which we wouldn't do in any other type of criminal context, right? But for some reason, we tend to shift the blame to the victim in this case. And that's a narrative that the AARP is very deliberate about trying to change, because it is directly reported. It is directly related to that underreporting issue that we're seeing. So part of the solution is what? Education and awareness. That's a big investment in the strategy that we have around fraud prevention this year and in years past. Access to timely, relevant resources that are both in language and in English. Sharing. Sharing is extremely important because the data that we've been able to gather establishes that that if somebody in any community is aware of a specific type of scam that's happening in their community, is 80% less likely to fall victim to that particular. So sharing and supporting our communities becomes pivotal, especially in this season when we know that the scammers are going to be hyperactive, targeting our Latino communities everywhere across the nation. And that empathy goes back to fighting back against that stigma, because we need to understand that somebody who has gone through a crime, a fraud, needs our empathy as opposed to our shame. And that's going to help to increase the levels of reporting that are currently so low in our nation. Next slide. So this is an FTC 2023 report, and basically I just want to showcase here the gap in between what was actually reported, which was at $9 billion reported stolen for fraud in 2022. And the FTC is saying, well, wait a minute, no, it really is closer to 137 billion. So that's the issue or the byproduct of the underreporting. We have this huge gap that we know it's there, but we don't know officially how it's being documented. And that's, of course, directly related to policy and other issues that are important for our communities. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the majority of the scams and what they have in common, it's really 3 elements. And this helps identify somebody who may be at risk of falling victim to a fraud crime. One is the sudden contact. And I think at any given point, maybe some of us, I certainly had been on the receiving end of those 3 elements, is that sudden contact, out of the blue, unexpected call or action that's being prompted by email or by text. And the scammers are really good about creating a high emotion environment, meaning that the consequences of not taking action and the stakes of not taking action are really high. And that's very deliberate because it's tied to that sense of urgency. Meaning, if you don't act now, this detrimental action will happen to you, whether that is your bank account will be frozen, your electricity bill will be canceled, your phone bill will be canceled. you name it, they have a situation for each of these. But in all the different circumstances and situations that we see, these three elements are always present. Next slide, please. And this is also, I think, to end on a kind of higher positive note, that there has been a shift in mindset of us as adults living in a society that has really witnessed the pervasiveness of fraud and scammers. And our latest survey says that 9 in 10 adults now believe that fraud can happen to them. So not somebody who is out there, not me, not with my background, not with my education. It really does not discriminate in terms of how you can be targeted and fall victim to a fraud. And I think I have one more slide to share with you all. And this is really the resources, and I want to invite you to check out the AARP Fraud Watch Network, which contains all these elements. It's really a hub for everything that we do. It does link to a journey that's in language for those of you that have family members or loved ones that prefer to consume their content in Spanish. We have that available as well. And I just want to emphasize that this is free, and it contains all these different resources within that larger hub. So it has a fraud resource center, it has a scam tracking map, again, going back to that awareness of education. This tracking map enables to see what types of scams are being more popular in your area at any given time. So you can be on alert if that happens in your community. We have the Perfect Scam podcast, which is an award-winning podcast that features victims of fraud and crime, and kind of provides those important insights to learn from those situations. And we have virtual in-person events, victim support sessions, and of course, resources for veterans. Veterans are a community that is even more vulnerable. And when we talk about Hispanic veterans, that's also inclusive of that population, because the sheer number and amount of benefits that are out there just makes it easier for scammers to create confusion as to what's real and what's fake. So we have specific resources to help veterans identify what could potentially be a fraud crime. And with that, I will conclude, and I appreciate again the opportunity. So thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Karina, for sharing all that helpful information. I know we're seeing in the chat that some of our community have fallen victim, those who have some background and those who don't. And so thank you so much for bringing awareness into this, and just bringing it at the top of the mind so that we have those conversations with folks who in our families, right? So that they don't fall victims of fraud during the holiday. So thank you, and thank you, AARP, for hosting today's charla. Another big thank you to all our speakers, Paloma, Kimberly, Adriana, Grisel, Vincent, and Karina, who were able to share all the valuable information and resources. We will be sending an email later with the charla link to rewatch, as well as the resources that our speakers shared today, including Kim's book, which will drop in the chat now. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you all again for joining us, and hope everyone has a good rest of their day, week, and happy Thanksgiving. Wishing you all a wonderful time with your loved ones. Buenas tardes.